Yes. Welcome. It's time to talk.
Oh man.
Oh no.
uh,
Uh, well, here's the start of a big journey. This is the SchlumpCast, featuring me, Nick, and my friends, John.
Nick and Nick.
Yeah, we're
uh,
all named Nick.
where all of our names are Nick. No, it's not.
Yeah,
It is not that. so,
yeah, we've got. Well, introduce yourselves because
so,
I.
so I'm John.
And I'm Jimmy.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh!
Uh, I guess.
I'm so sorry.
I guess something we can start with is how we started with the idea to start this.
How
Oh,
how you guys started with it?
Yeah, I guess how we like Nick
how
and
we
I
started the
had the
idea
idea.
and just
So
shoved Jimmy into it.
So kind of one day Nick was like, "I'm gonna stream and play Minecraft," and um, he just started streaming, and then we started talking about some pretty deep stuff, and we because he was streaming, we started talking kind of like in third person, and
Oh yeah,
so
that was so weird.
it was really weird,
It
but
was
it was
so
just
weird because nobody was
yeah, no
watching.
one was watching the stream. It was just us, but I. I think there was maybe a person, but even then, it was just like not a lot of
It was
people.
like
But
a person, and it was probably me.
But the funny, like, so, like, we thought it was super interesting the way we were talking. So we said, why don't we try to make this like an actual thing that we do? Mainly because we have nothing else better to do. But I thought the way we talked about it was pretty interesting. So I don't know if that's how you felt too, but we agreed to start the stream, and then we just invited Jimmy.
Yeah,
So,
because Jimmy
anyways.
can offer insight
Yeah,
too.
because Jimmy's a pretty big brain person, if I would say so
Yeah,
myself.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that myself, but
No,
I mean,
I think
I'll
you're
take a
no,
compliment.
I think it's pretty accurate. You're pretty big brain.
Oh, I
yeah, you gotta
appreciate
keep
that.
Brian up there.
Anyways, so for our first, I guess this is gonna be like our first episode. I mean, whoever wants to introduce the topic.
Yeah, hold on. So I kind of just wanted to get into like college, because right now we're in the thick of it, kind of right at the end of this weird ass semester, and I just kind of wanted to talk about a time before that or times before that so that at least we can like focus on better maybe memories, maybe better memories. I'm not sure. There's a couple questions in here that could stray away from that, but doesn't really. We don't have to get to them, but if we do, we do. Maybe the first question. What are some things that you learned in college that you wish you had learned before?
Hmm.
It's kind of weird you say that, mainly because just for context, is all three of us are basically in the same grade, um,
Mm-hmm.
with the same exact majors.
Same. Well, yeah. So
um,
we all do music.
yeah.
That's kind of our thing.
Just for context, um, yeah, we're in a public university. We're in Virginia, and it's just you know the right now the COVID-19 virus has like basically crippled us going to campus. So we've just been kind of like contacting each other online and doing all this stuff online. Um, I think that personally something I wish I knew going into college was knowing that this was gonna happen.
Okay.
Um, but like in the actual sense, I don't know. Like I think starting this kind of like topic, um, not a lot of people are kind of aware of what actual like the actuality of what college is. A lot of people like if you look at a movie or something, it's just like, oh yeah, you spend your time alone. You basically have all the free time you want. I'm not sure about other majors, but in terms of the majors that we have, that is not the case. I've never been more busy, but also it's just like for me living day
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
day, it's just kind of exciting actually because it's just interact with so many different characters, especially because a lot of the people I meet are musicians, and they're just like really weird characters. I mean, I would say I'm a character myself, but it's just interacting with these kind of people every day in and out is just super cool. And I guess something I would like the past John Choi would be yeah, be more open. Like, I know starting out, a lot of people were like, yeah, it's really weird to think about it, but it's like, I met these two guys in college, so it's just, I never thought I'd be like some of my closest friends in college. I thought a lot of my high school friends would stick with me, but it's just like, everything changed, like, especially because a lot of my friends stepped away from music or were never in music, so it's just like knowing the fact that there's always going to be a group of friends for you. You just need to be actively looking.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. My first thought that came to my mind was that in high school or in elementary school or middle school or secondary school or wherever you went, you kind of got a really, I don't know how to put it, a pretty closed and well kept world. But in college, it's like, that's when you really realize how vastly different people are. So many different personalities, character traits, stuff like that. And I think it's a real testament to education as a whole. I mean, interacting with so many different people is both a blessing and a curse, I'll say. But yeah, it's just cool to meet so many different people.
Yeah, I think kind of going back to high school, I went to a secondary school, so I got kind of like a early experience of what the kind of high school life is like because I was like thrown in there in 7th grade. Because the middle school and high school were like very much, it was very much like separated by a thin line, you know? Like there was a hallway that connected the two buildings together, and that was
Yeah,
just
right.
like the most populated area. But I think something I like the first semester of college, I had a lot of alone time because I didn't really uh go for the whole make friends yourself, take initiative kind of thing. I just kind of like coasted,
Hmm.
went and saw what happened around me, and kind of didn't really start my college experience until the second semester of my first year because for me first semester was basically kind of like a job. It wasn't school. It was a
Mm.
job. I woke up early, drove to campus, did my classes, drove home, and just like was alone for a while. It was weird. Um,
Did you turn to anyone, like your high school friends?
no, because they were all gone.
Mm.
I didn't have very many close people that went to Mason. I had like I had a lot of friends go to Mason for sure, but none of them that did what I did, and none of them that I saw very regularly. So it wasn't like I could just be like, "Yo, let's like go get lunch or something," because they would always either be in class or be at home by the time I was done with class or what have you. Um, so like, I mean, of course, I had people to talk to, but definitely not on the scale to where it was like every day I got to talk to a friend. There were a
Right.
lot of days where I just came home and just was like, all right, homework time, I guess, and then went home and did fucking nothing. Um,
That sucks. I should have met you earlier.
So
I mean, I did. I actually did.
we
that's the thing. So
But
like, we all had met and interacted at some point first semester. It was just me being like I don't know. I don't know who to like talk to. I kind of just like come here and I go home and like I'm
I
never
think it's
around
more of an
anyone.
us being being like that.
So funny you mentioned that. Just so we know, I first met Nick at orientation and stuff.
Oh yeah, we were in the
Um,
same group. That was cool.
we had the same basic like group,
Hmm.
and it's really funny because, um, first thing I remember about him is like the first thing he said was, "I can do," because we were doing icebreaker stuff, and he was like, "Hey, I can do a pretty good plankton impression," and so he just went straight into. It was just, it was just like the funniest thing. And actually, I think like one of the first instances of me and Nick like having a full on conversation was like, hey, like I don't know, we're kind of like band geeks and stuff, but we were like, yeah, we really enjoy marching bands. Like, what school did you go to, etc. And at the time, I had no idea that this guy would be one of my closest friends. But it was just like, we talked about just like stupid, like, because we were going into the same field. It was just like, yeah, so band and stuff, ha 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 ha, laugh laugh laugh, But it's just
Lol, smile.
yeah, it's just so interesting to me that like like years, not years later, but like a couple years later, that it just went straight into like,
Yo,
one of
we're
the
here.
closest people I meet, and this is the same for Jimmy too, because like I think that like when we met, it was super weird because I had nothing to talk to people about, so basically what I do is like talk about like kind of like. Like, I don't know, like, if this would make any sense to you guys, but it's just like the music stuff, basically like equipment and stuff, etc. And then so I back then was like I still kind of am now, but I'm like an equipment geek. But it's just like I had nothing else to talk about, especially because I knew no one. So that's actually kind of how I got into Jimmy's radar. Was I started talking about equipment, and it was like the most awkward first impression ever because. I just randomly came up to him and was like, "Hey, so what kind of instrument you play?"
Do you remember the actual question that you asked me?
I think I was either talking shit or I was just really confused about what you use. I think I was asking like preferences and stuff about instruments and stuff, and then either I went straight to talking shit or I didn't know what I was talking about, and you just looked at me weird.
The question you asked was, "Oh, you play trombone? Who do you swear to?" And I was like, "What in the world does that mean?" And me being a trombone player, thinking this is like, who do I praise in the trombone world? I was like, "Oh, Joe Alessi." And then you were like, "Oh, you playing an Alessi horn?" And I was like, "What are you? What? Where did you get that?"
Yeah.
And then I connected the dots, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "I play Getzen, yeah."
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah.
Just
Yo,
stuck from there.
yeah. I'm trying to remember what me and Jimmy's first interaction was because I'm like,
It was
almost-
definitely in theory.
I was always curious on how you two met, mainly because I just kind of like, I mean, I guess for me, I kind of broke out of my shell pretty fast, especially because I just wanted to get to know people really quickly. So I kind of like started talking to people, etc. So I think my first semester, was mostly just me talking with Jimmy. I didn't get to know Nick that well until like the second semester of our freshman year, but like starting out, it was just like me and Jimmy, but then like going into Nick, like kind of I talked to Nick and then kind of managed to like shift over that we would all three of us would talk to each other, and then we just got really close, but I never kind of understood how you two got to know each other. So if you guys want to talk about that.
I'll try to piece together what I remember because I
Yeah.
don't remember a whole lot. I want to say because we were like weirdly, me and Jimmy have a lot of these same classes. Like,
Yeah.
looking back on it, we were in a lot of the same classes. Like, I remember theory. I think we were in theory 3 and 4 together.
Yes.
Just for context, This is like a music logic class and stuff.
Yeah, music theory and what have you. We were in theory 3 and 4 as freshmen, and so like right off the bat, I felt super isolated because I was like, oh, there's like maybe 3 or 4 other freshmen in this class, and like I just like I always showed up to class, sat in the back of the class, and just waited for class to be over, and didn't really mingle with anybody, especially not in theory 3. Like theory 3 was
Yeah. That was
I-
rough.
I I liked the class.
Oh
I
yeah,
liked
yeah. No, I totally got the class too.
love the class, but it was kind of I showed up and I like knew a couple people from my studio. I play clarinet, and so we all have a studio where we meet on a day of the week, and we all just like play for each other and whatnot. It's I mean it's like pretty self-explanatory, but I knew a couple people in that, but I didn't really like talk to them because they were a grade above me, and I was like, I'm just a new guy, and so I kind of like kept my distance. Um, Theory 4 happened the second semester, and for the second semester, I finally started talking to people because I decided to join the group that John and Jimmy had previously joined the semester before, just as a just as hopefully giving me some group to belong to. And that's I think how I finally like broke the ice with Jimmy is being like, "Yo, you're in here, huh?" And then so you're in
Yeah,
and then
we out here.
yo, we in here. We out here too. And it was kind of like then we started like actually like talking. I don't remember if it was like right off the bat of like I think
So
I I don't
from
remember.
from what I remember, kind of, it was like, um, I knew someone, um, I knew like an upperclassman that knew you from whatever for whatever reason, and he was just like, yeah, he's trying to join this group that we're in, and I was like, oh, cool, um, and he introduced you to me, and that second semester is really when we started talking and stuff, but it was just like he introduced us, and that's when like, oh, like we find out we had like so much more in common, like there we had so many things that we laughed at each other about,
Oh yeah.
and it's just like once I feel like we established that, because by that point I think Jimmy and I were like we got to be good friends and stuff,
Yeah.
and so because we started talking more, like it started becoming that, oh, because I hung out with Jimmy a lot, and since he started talking to you and etc., started to slowly mingle together, and I think that's kind of how the group solidified.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about your perspective from that, Jimmy? Do you remember a whole lot? Or...
Um. Honestly, most of it is a blur. Um.
By the way, that's how college is gonna feel. Right? Just like know that it's
Write
gonna be
this down.
stressful, but you'll make so many good memories, especially if you just apply yourself. But you'll make good memories and you'll meet a lot of good people, which is what we did, uh, and still are
Yeah.
currently doing. But continue. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay. Um. Yeah, it's all kind of meshed together. Um. And that goes for like classes too. Like the stuff I learned in classes and the people I met and the experiences I had all kind of meshed together.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I don't recall too much, but yeah. How about these other questions?
Well, John had brought up memories, and I kind of want to get into that.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll start positive. What's your best memory of college so far? Like, if you can, or maybe not. What about funniest? Maybe funniest might be more interesting. If you can
Funniest.
differentiate between best and funniest, that'd be cool.
Oh, man.
You drive a hard.
Someone else go first. I gotta weed them out.
Well,
Trying to think.
I mean, if you want to, if you want funniest, um, I'm not gonna say any names. Actually,
Yeah, don't say
I'm
names.
not gonna say any names, but like, I think the weirdest experience so far was like, well, okay, this isn't a weird experience because this happens every day, but it's consistent. There's always this one person sleeping in the middle of the lobby. Doesn't matter what time it is.
Okay.
It's just like it doesn't matter what time. Yeah, it doesn't matter what time. So just for context, the school that we go to is called the Delaski School of Music or something like this, or Performing Arts Building or
Isn't
whatever.
it something different now?
It's a performing arts building. That's all you have to know. So, um, it's just, and sometimes what'll happen is like, college is stressful. Not a lot of people get time to be at home, etc. Because they're either studying at college or they're actually away from home, or they're commuting, and it's just not worth it for them to go home because their classes are too close. This is like early on, like for me, freshman me, it was just like first thing I saw walking into this lobby was someone just sleeping in the lobby, and for me, it confused me so much because it's just like, what in the world? It's like, because it's just like
Wait, this is like first week?
this isn't first week. This is like first couple days into college. This is like maybe it's day 2 or 3 of college, and they're just like
Then
people sleeping in the. Do we have like these like chairs? They're like little arm sofas or whatever they're called, but they're just sleeping in them, and it's just
That's-
like I would come back. I'd leave for a class, come back, and they're still sleeping. And for me, that was just like the funniest thing to watch because it was just like, it kind of filled that stereotype that a lot of college kids are just like they have nothing better to do, but it also is just like kind of showed the reality of how difficult some of these classes were. That instead of going home to sleep, they found it more optimal to sleep in a in a, in a couch.
okay,
But
so here's where our opinions differ because there are many much more private areas where you should be going if you're going to be sleeping. The lobby should not be one of those
On
places.
campus too.
yeah, on
Oh
campus.
yeah, on campus you could go anywhere that isn't the lobby and sleep.
No, I just think it's the funniest. Like, it's still funny
I
to me now. Like whenever
I
I
don't
just see
like
someone sleeping there.
I can't defend someone that sleeps in the lobby because that's you're getting caught lacking in front of the entire school of music. And like that's so embarrassing. Like and I you got to have some sort of like self-awareness to know like I could probably do better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of like sleeping locations alone. That's like all I'm really worried about. I don't really I like obviously if like you're tired, you're tired. But go somewhere that you can be tired at. Because the pab lobby is such a I don't know how to describe it. It's such a it's enigmatic. It's so
It's true.
ethereal in an awful way. It's like
Just watching people sleep in the
watching
lobby.
people sleep, watching people eat so many different kinds of food that different smells and odors and what have you. People don't really have like a sense of volume, like ironically being in a school of music, like dynamics don't apply to most people when they're conversating.
Nice.
Yeah,
You
still.
got him.
Hell yeah, boys.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because sometimes there are people who with like I don't know it. I guess this the kind of like to say the lobby itself is just a really like weird place because you catch some of the weirdest stuff ever. Like
Mm.
something cool that happens a lot is during finals week. Um, the basically like the I guess like the music booster people come in with like a giant like finals day like snacks and stuff, but they bring a dog every single time. It is the best thing in the
Cool.
world, and it makes it so much better. But also,
Oh,
I'm allergic to dogs, so I'm allergic to dogs. So sometimes it's
that's
just
the
like,
risk we're willing to take.
yeah, that's the risk I'm willing to take because it's just a freaking dog. like, like I love that. Like some of the like the parents, or even like not even parents. It's just like the people who know what music college is like. 'Cause it's pretty stressful. I'm not gonna lie. It's just one of those things that unless you've been through it, you really won't know how bad it actually is.
Hmm.
But it's just like it's super stressful, and for me watching like having people that understand and can kind of like feel for I don't know, because a lot of my friends who are in like different fields are like, yeah, I only take like this many credits, and it's just like, man, I take, I think my first semester I took 18 credits, and then like I just
Yeah.
kept doing 18 credits. Eventually, I kind of just gave up on doing that because,
Which is a lot for the college we go to.
yeah, it's a lot for the college
Just saying.
go to, and it's just like, slowly starting to gnaw away at my head. So kind of like to, oh yeah, another thing to keep in mind is just to know what your limit is, like in terms of, I would always kind of underestimate what you can do, especially because a lot of what goes into, like college and stuff is what you can handle, and if you can't handle your load, it starts to hurt you a lot.
Oh, I learned that the hard way.
So that's just something that I wish that I told the me of myself of past is just know your limit, and just to make sure, like, I know like parents are like, they're like, you should do this many hours because that's what I did in college. Well, first of all, just for context, my parents I'm Asian, so my parents didn't go to college in the States, so they went to college in Korea, and over there it's so much more different than it is here. And even then, the times have changed so much that they can't understand kind of what I'm going through, even though I try to explain it to them. But they like, and bless their souls, because they're paying for my education and stuff. But it's just like they don't understand what I go through, and to me it kind of gnaws away at my head. But it's just like I know that it's just because they don't understand, but they're trying their best, and it's just But it's just kind of understand, especially if there's no one that understands you better than you. It's just know what you feel like your limit is and try not to go past it. And because if you do, it's just like you're just gonna start to like die. It's just gonna be like taxing. Every day will be taxing for you, and that's such a bad way to live, in my opinion.
Oh
That's
yeah,
true.
dude, I learned that
Nick,
the hard way last semester. What?
what was your funniest memory so far?
I kind of like
Well,
strayed away from that.
It's okay.
I think. Can I talk about the end of semester shindig we had?
Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
You can talk about it. I just don't know what we did.
Like, before everything that I can remember happened, when we were just sitting around waiting for stuff to arrive, and we were just sitting there filming videos of us, like, of me catching you watching shit.
Oh!
Okay, so I had a really funny idea, because John had a laptop that could turn off if he slapped it. Like if he just slapped his laptop, it would turn off. It was like busted.
So yeah,
Oh, I remember this. I do.
That laptop was it was a hand-me-down from my brother. It was already broken, but it was like kind of already at like its limit and stuff. So yeah, you can continue on.
So before the shindig officially starts, we're all just like chilling out in someone's dorm room, and we're goofing around, we're doing whatever, and I'm like, "Yo, John, I have a funny idea for a video. I'm gonna pretend to be the police, and you're gonna be watching like something on your computer, and you're just gonna smack it, and it's gonna turn off, and it's gonna be really funny." And so I actually didn't know what he was gonna pull up, and so we start the film, and it takes a couple tries because half the time I can't like get the camera to get what's on his screen before he slaps it. And we finally got one take, and he's just watching hentai. It's just fucking.
I can put the video in post just for context, but.
Hey, bro, what you watching?
Oh my god.
That video was so funny. I don't know if that was the funny, because I'm trying to remember that night. That night was so much fun.
So that's the same night I handed you the health potion.
Oh yeah, the health potion, bro. Okay, so I'm at this point. I'm trying to.
Quite inebriated.
Quite inebriated.
Quite
Yeah,
inebriated.
Yeah.
This is like end of semesters. We were about to like leave for the summer and stuff.
Oh yeah. And so at this point, I don't know. I'm just like focusing on something else. I think they're playing Hangman, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of funny. And then all of a sudden, he's like, I was like, hey John, can you make me something? And he's like, yeah, sure. And so he pours me a shot, and I look away. I'm like, hey, thanks. And I look down. All of a sudden, he just does a motion with his hand, and it's red now. And I'm like, and I'm like, what did you do? And he's like, oh, I just added my high C. Because he filled his giant 40-ounce bottle with high C from the dining hall right across the way.
Oh
But-
no!
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yo, you just made me a health potion. And then that's how I coined, or I guess, yeah, I coined the term health potion for me and myself only.
That's the
Or
same
maybe
night, by
anybody
the
else.
way, we made that video.
Yeah, same night. It's same thing. That night was like, it was just kind of like, it was like as wholesome as a night like that could get, I think. Because nothing bad happened. Nothing overly, like, nothing went wrong, I would say. I almost threw up because I, like, sat up too fast, but I didn't throw up, which was great.
Good.
Yeah. But it was a fun night. It was just a wholesome night. We were just a couple of guys being dudes. It was great. It was a good time. We played this one, and God bless Jackson. Man, love him to death. We should get him on this podcast. That would be cool. I'd love to talk to him about
Yeah, I mean,
something. But he was like, "Yo, I got this game we can play." It was basically Hangman, but with chords,
oh,
with like chords and like chord symbols and shit. I was like, "Oh my goodness, dude!" If like someone walked in on us doing this, they'd have no idea we're just doing like calculus on a board playing Hangman to them or something. But that was kind of funny. I liked that. That was cool. And then yeah, that night I think I can attribute that as to like one of the better memories of that year. Because like at that point it was like everything's going well and we were just being dudes.
Nice.
Yeah.
all right, Jimmy. What's your favorite memory?
Well, you see, you would think that with the ample amount of time I was given, I would come up with something.
Well, I'm just gonna go on a limb and say that you didn't find anything.
No, I have a bunch of like smaller stories.
Sure. I mean, I guess like better than. I mean, I still think that count. Let me
It's
just-
kind of hard to rank a favorite because I don't even know if like that moment specifically was my favorite.
honestly, yeah, I don't even think the thing I gave was like a good one because it was just like me talking about what goes on in the building, not like an actual memory.
Yeah,
So
the question was funniest, right?
Yeah.
yeah, the funniest memory.
What do you have?
Hmm.
A lot of like, and I'll give it to you. Like that question is so hard because a lot of the funny moments that happen are like you have to be there. Kind
Well,
of
it's also
thing.
kind of spontaneous when it happens. So
It's spontaneity could like leave a long lasting memory, but it's more of like there's context that like
oh
to a layman, if you explained it, they'd look at you like, what? Hello?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of the most like the funniest memories that I have, I like don't even want to start getting into because there's a whole lot of context that like at the end of the story, it's probably not even gonna be that funny. That's like my qualm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think this isn't a memory per se, but just kind of an experience. In high school, something I that I had to deal with a lot was anxiety, particularly performing anxiety.
Ah.
And in college, it definitely still persisted, but somewhere in my head or something, something just clicked, and it was just kind of non-existent. Or no, not non-existent. I still had like lapses and stuff like that. But in college, doing these performances with a lot more people than I had experience with in high school and prior, just kind of helped me just to get used to it more and learn how to deal with it better. So I think that's one of the things that I'm more grateful for in college is just getting experience in my art, I think.
Yeah,
Nice.
I mean, that's cool. It's just like also, like yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. Like not even just in the terms of like performance and stuff, but it's also just like getting to know people was like the weirdest thing ever. And it's just like for me, like a lot of anxiety came from talking to new people, but kind of like you kind of just have to like grab your kind of just like go for it and just say fuck it and then just do it. And I
Yeah.
think that's like a way that kind of how people do build like out of their shells a lot. And it's just like for me it's just I don't know, it's just like a lot of things that I notice is just like people who kind of like don't like strive to break out of stuff, even though it's like I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that they don't want to, but it's just like unless they've stepped out of their comfort zone, you'll never actually get to experience kind of what it's like out of that fear. And once
Yeah.
like, you're used to not having that fear, it starts to just like become kind of like second nature just to do it, you know? Like for me, like it was talking to new people, but once like I just kept doing it, you know, I you know,
Yeah.
for me at least the anxiety came from talking to girls actually.
Oh, dude.
And it's just a weird thing to talk about, but it's just like I had the weirdest. It was just like because when I was in high school, all I did was just talk to bros, and I never really talked to any girls. But once I like kind of got to college, it was just like more and more I was having to involve myself with either girls or talking to them. Not even just like yeah, just talking to them and stuff, like meeting them passing by, and like I had classes with some people, and they'd just be like, "Hey, yada yada yada." At first, I couldn't even look a girl in the face, but now it's just gotten to the point where you know I have so many good friends that are also now female. It's just, you know, just I think like the more you do something, as scary as it is, you start to build that kind of, I guess, strength.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think that's definitely like something I think more like generally kind of learned to how to talk to people and kind of just like not be afraid because my biggest thing in high school was or like it started earlier than that, but I was very quiet in high school. Like
Yeah, same here.
I was part of a pretty big group of friends, and most of them were pretty high up on whatever like social ladder that like exists.
They were
In
fast.
yeah, they were fast.
Uh,
No, do you remember in elementary school where like your social status was based on how fast you were?
no, because I'm fat.
No, I know, but like that's
But
not
you
what I
still
meant.
went to elementary school,
Yes,
yeah?
but you went and that kind of thing existed,
Oh
right?
yes, and
Yeah, yeah, that's
completely.
what I'm saying. Because I too was like a very big guy in elementary school, and people made fun of me for that. And then it turned into a, "Hey Nick, why don't you stop talking? You're fat and you're annoying." And I'm like, "Holy shit! Okay, I'll stop talking then." And
Yikes.
yo, no, it was brutal. Like I'm definitely like lightening the mood of that. That it was like it was fucking brutal. Um. Anyway, it was kind of it was rough trying to get myself to tell myself that like those people don't feel that way anymore. Like that's such a childish mentality. And like to think that someone would still like have that idea in their head is very like bewildering and kind of like out of the question. But it took me a long time to realize that like people don't actually think that way, and that's just like brutal, kind of survival of the fittest in elementary school, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know. I definitely grew up with a lot of people who thought they were like alpha and stuff, and then like would be just rude for the sake of being rude and then get mad at me when I took it personally because they're like, "Oh, you can't take a joke." And so I'm like, "Okay, well, maybe I don't know what a joke is, but I'm just going to stop talking." And so I did. I stopped talking. And then high school, like senior year of high school, I finally was like, "Bro, I can like talk to people. Like I can do this. Like I'm
Nice.
like not I'm not like at this point I have made enough of a reputation, I guess, if, like lack of a better word, to where it's like I'm not afraid to talk anymore because most of the people I care to talk to know me for me. And so I don't have that like fear of like, oh, they're just gonna call me annoying or fat or whatever. And like,
Nick, are we the same person?
bro,
Because I related with pretty much everything that you said.
bro, it's insane. Like me and Jimmy have had very, very similar experiences. Um, like
I
You're
think
telling
we've
me,
had
dude.
these
revelations.
re-
Yeah, yeah,
revelations.
that's a word.
Yeah, yeah, we've had these like revelations that were like, yo, what the fuck? Why did we have like scarily similar experiences? Like it's a little it's not it's definitely not worrying, but it's also kind of like sad in a way because I went through like shit that I didn't think a whole lot of people also went through.
Yeah,
But then
yeah, for sure.
that's another thing that kind of helped me cope was like so many other people go through the same thing too. And however you choose to cope, you have to make sure you're doing it out of your own interests and not for the interests of other people.
Yeah.
Like I didn't start talking to people until I knew I wanted to. And then cuz like there came a point where I was like mindlessly like, "Oh, I'm not like super mindful of like the shit that I went through, but now I just don't really want to reach out to people or talk because it became so common." So I was like, "All right, I'm like I was fine with being quiet." And I didn't want to be fine with being quiet anymore. And so uh yeah, that was kind of like bringing it back to the topic. That's definitely something I learned pretty early on in college was like number one, you can't be afraid to talk to people because music, much like many other like art and like business related majors, you have to like network and you have to talk to people. And so like if you're timid, there it's fine, but you there comes a point where like you have to reach out because there's a lot that you can't get done if you don't have a good network of people or even just like don't even think about it in terms of a network, just like think about it in terms of like having friends, um having a good group of friends that will always be there for you and that knowing that you'll be able to reciprocate. I think it's very important to keep that in mind when you're in college, especially because I think one of the worst feelings is feeling like you're alone. And like that feeling it takes so long to get over because you get in your own head and you convince yourself like certain things. And it definitely doesn't just take like somebody to point that reality out to fix that problem. Because like people have told me that a lot and I never really clicked until recently. But definitely like to whoever may be listening, uh having it's definitely worth breaking out of your comfort zone and going out networking making friends not even for the purpose of business or what have you but just for the sake of friendship because
Well
like
said, brother.
I know too many people that just know people because there's another topic we could get into. Like a lot of people just don't make friends, they make like partners,
Acquaintances.
business partners is more of what I'm getting at. Like I'll never understand that mentality of kind of just like going through and not making like real friends, but just trying to do anything to advance your career.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I like, truth be told, I haven't experienced that terribly often in our school of music, but I know that that kind of stuff can happen. I don't know. It's definitely one of my pet peeves, though. Is like taking advantage of people that have a certain skill set.
I don't know.
That that happens a lot in music, though. Like whether it's small or big, like sometimes it's just like you'll meet a lot of people that will call you up only if they need something.
Yeah.
If they need something, not if you, not just to talk to you.
Mhm. It's kind of
But
interesting you may like you bring that up because it's just like I feel like especially as like people like to use people is such like a it's such a one is a disingenuous thing, but two it's just like it does like it just reduces your character so much. It's just like
oh yeah, because that kind of shit spreads.
well, it's not even that it spreads. It's just like it kind of dehumanizes someone. It just kind of make like I feel like it takes the personality out of people and kind of just reduces what like there are a lot of people like I've met. Like I met a good chunk of people in my time at college, but it's just like there's so many people who just like if they needed something, you were the and they couldn't figure it out. The only reason they would talk to you is just so they can get this thing that you can do or whatever or that you have or the skills, etc. But it's just like to me that like shuts it's like such a shut off or I guess it's just a to turn off because it's just like so the only reason you wanted to talk to me was because I could do something for you, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
um
You want to hit another one of these questions?
sure.
Um. How did we pick our college?
uh
Price.
yeah.
Yeah, this thing is a pretty like straightforward. There's no, oh, I went and toured their college and something just spoke to me. No, it was more. Maybe I could get into like my story with like how I picked it because mine is a little bit more interesting than just like because at the end of the day, it was definitely because of convenience and because of vicinity and because of price. Like by far, to anyone prospecting for college, unless you can get like a good amount of scholarship money, go in state. If you don't want like massive amounts of debt, because even though I'm
Yes.
going in state, I still have debt, and it's like
Oh yes.
it's still like a problem. And if I had gone with my first choice, and if my first choice happened, I would be in so much more debt. Um, so my story kind of, I was originally going to go to the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, very big university. Like Peyton Manning went there. That was super cool to figure out. Um, so I auditioned at their school, and like that experience in and of itself was kind of weird because he was like, "Okay, yeah, you're in. When can we meet again for a lesson?" And I'm like, "What? Huh? What? Like that has never happened to me after playing." Um, it was such a bewildering experience that like I got myself into like this holy shit, like Tennessee wants me bad. And like I was like, "Oh, okay, well then I really want to come here then." And then the months kind of go by. Maybe not months, but like I went and had that lesson with them and we discussed like financial options, and he's like, "Unfortunately, the School of Music can't give you anything, but with the volunteer scholarship, which is basically if you have a high enough GPA and a high enough SAT score, you get $10,000 if you're out of state." And I was like, "Oh, that's
That's
good.
a lot of money.
That is a whole lot of money."
But how
And I
much?
was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh."
The question is though, how much does it cost for out of state compared to?
Okay, so a year at Tennessee would have been 40,000 with no help. With no help whatsoever, would have been straight up just 40,000.
Okay.
Which is like
Kind of
for me
expected for out of state.
very expected for out of state and like very much like impossible for my financial situation, but I was very much banking on that basically guaranteed $10,000 and a couple other like stipends from marching band and like other scholarships that I had applied for. Um so like the cost would have come down a bit. It still would have been a lot more expensive than what I'm doing now, but it would have not have been as astronomical as the final like bill would have been. Um, I get home from Tennessee, which is about an 8 hour drive from my house. Um, and I'm like, all right, I'm set. I'm good. I'm gonna go to Tennessee. The week of decision day. So I think decision day fell on like a Thursday or something that year. So like end of the week, I'm like preparing, and I'm like, bet I'm gonna accept Tennessee's offer. This is gonna be great. Then I get an email from the admissions office with my bill for the year. Should I accept or something? It was something along that.
Right.
Should I accept? Like this is what it's gonna look like. And the $10,000 scholarship was not on there. So I emailed them back. I'm like, hey, I definitely apply for this. Like I have a high enough SAT score. I have a high enough GPA. What seems to be the problem? And they tell me we didn't get your first semester senior year transcripts, so we're no longer able to give you the scholarship. And at this point, even if I had sent it to them like that day, I had no faith in their admissions office to like put it in and be like, oh, yep, you get the scholarship. It was like so close to decision day to where I was like, shoot. Well, that's not good. But I also like waited to accept officially before I concrete made that decision because I had gotten that bill before and I was like, oh, that's probably just like a glitch or something. And so we emailed them back and we are like, hey, where's the $10,000 scholarship that I was like supposed to get? And they tell me, oh, you're not gonna get it. You didn't send your transcript. And I'm like, well, I definitely did. You like I definitely sent it. 3 of the 4 other schools have emailed me back and said, yeah, you're good. And so
Yeah.
like so the week of decision day I get told, hey, you can't go to your number 1 because you don't qualify for something you qualify for. And so at that point the school of music at James Madison told me no. And so I was like, okay, here we are. And I picked the college that we're at now, which is great. I'm so glad things turned out the way they did because like obviously wouldn't be here right now talking with these guys had I not gone to Mason. Like it would have been drastically different. I'd been out of state. I'd probably be living in Tennessee doing something had I not chosen to like stay and like come here. But I think that whole thing was the best thing that could have happened to me because like I like like I don't know how many other people like I know like this happens a lot where like the first choice doesn't end up working out, but the I guess quote unquote second choice ends up being a lot better than what you could have imagined. And so I don't know. I think that like whole it definitely influenced my decision to come here. Like it definitely would not have come here had it not been for that. But I'm glad that happened because yeah, we'd be somewhere else doing something else.
Nice.
I think I'm gonna cry. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of sad how sometimes universities are like, oh, we're just gonna kind of like destroy your hopes and dreams. And like I know for a lot of colleges it's like the matter of, yeah, we can't afford that, do this for you, etc. And I get that. But it's like some universities just try to freaking rat their way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And to me it's just such a cursed thing to do to someone, especially if like it's just like like a kid not even in college, you're just excited to go but being told you can't come here because we don't feel like having you, but like you're doing it in like the most passive way possible, or it's just we don't want you, but we're gonna try to kind of dodge the question and just say you can come, you just have to pay an absurd amount of money even though you weren't supposed to.
Right.
So it's just kind of sad how sometimes things end up that way.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't definitely like first semester I was kind of bummed out about it because I wasn't having like the college experience. And that was like my fault. I didn't like make myself have that experience. But now that I've like put myself out there and I've like experienced what I want to experience and like have so much more to experience, I think that this is probably the best place for me. Also, like there's so much near us. Like there's so many opportunities for us after college to where I'm like, dude, if I were still in Tennessee, I don't know what I'd be doing after college. Because Knoxville is a pretty big city, but outside of Knoxville, there's like not a whole lot. I don't know.
Well, that was an interesting outtake on that. Yeah, just for the people who are watching, just know that it's like your first choice might not be really what you should be doing. But it's just like things will always work out in the end.
Yeah, I think what I'm more going at is like you will set yourself a path and then something will like obstruct the path and you have to go along with it. Like you can't just not all the times you can just move the boulder out of the way and continue going on the path you want to go on. It's much better and easier long term to just like go a different direction because likely and like this is another thing in college that I've like kind of like uh discovered is like kind of the whole idea that like everything has been planned out for me and that like things do happen for a reason and like specific things happen for a reason in a specific way and it's kind of like I've definitely accepted the whole like I'm destined to do whatever it is that life has for me to do. I'm destined to experience what I experience. Like I feel what I feel when I guess the universe wants me to feel it. And so yeah.
Very cool. Well, would you like to move on? 'Cause I think I know you talked a lot, but I think that is a pretty good. I think that's like a pretty deep one. And
how long have we been going?
it's been about 58-ish minutes.
58. Okay, we can like
50-ish.
end it on like
Probably
a lighter
50-ish.
note.
I think it'd be probably about 50-ish, but
End it on a lighter note.
Okay.
Do you have any like funny gig experiences?
Yeah, I
Do you
do
have any
actually.
specific gig experiences in DC?
uh,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
I can already think of one right now.
I can think of two now that you mention that. Oh my gosh.
So, do one of you want to pick the one that I think I'm referring to, and then the other one that Jimmy has?
So I guess
John, you got it.
so so we're all a part of basically it's our university pep band called the Green Machine, and it's just anyways it's just like our university pep band, but it's there was because Jimmy and I would consider us to be the upper echelon of like the players in our band, so they had us
Oh, what am I then? What am I, chopped liver?
What? But well, at the time, I don't think you were that prevalent in the
That
ensemble.
at the time I was not in the ensemble at all.
Or yeah, but basically, like because this is such a high profile gig that they needed someone who could be able to like play music, etc. They had Jimmy. They had a couple other people go like other instruments, but like I'm a tuba player, and since Jimmy's a trombone player, and we were like we were like actual music students, so they were like, yeah, can you come do this, etc. Anyways, so we live in like it's about like it's in Fairfax, so that's where the university is, and so DC is like maybe like 20-30 minutes away, and that's where a lot of like these crazy like party kind of concerts are, like raves and EDM stuff. But so we had an instance in where we got to play for if you guys know, it's Grizz. He's like this EDM artist, etc.
To interrupt really quick, that is the craziest gig I think you could ever be given. Just playing with Grizz. Like that seems super high profile to me for some reason. I don't know. Okay.
I mean, it was just to talk a little bit about kind of what happened there. So we had to like kind of go like super early. The concert itself was kind of late.
Yeah, it was like 10
It was like 10 o'clock.
or 10 or 10:30 was our call time
Yeah, it was pretty low. It was pretty late.
because we were playing at the end of his set.
And so basically what happens is, yeah, we like spend the day. I think we watched like the Nats game or something like that too.
We watched one inning of a Nats game.
Right. And then so we rehearse, etc. We're going deaf because it's super loud.
It's
Like this,
Dude.
it's hard to it kind of describe because this stuff was cool, but it made me want to poop my pants. That's how loud it was. Like, it was pretty loud. But going back on topic, it was just like this crazy like, you know, we're in DC. It's like a lot of crazy figures, you know, a lot of crazy people. So I think we were coming back from the Nats baseball game, and basically in our squad we have a pretty diverse group of people, but there was this one guy who was, oh my goodness, he was kind of just like the justice warrior and like etc. Right? Like,
I don't know if that's the correct term. I think he's just abrasive.
Yeah, he's
and
just
like
I don't know. He was just very, very defensive and like, you know, I'm gonna defend my pride, etc.
yeah, very prideful.
Yeah, very prideful. And so essentially, what happens is, I think it was a giant, or something like that.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah, it
giant. So
was a giant.
We stopped by Giant because it's late, and we're about to like play, and like we're all exhausted, and so we're just like, let's go get some coffee and stuff. So we get coffee. I almost get jumped.
Oh.
I almost got jumped because I walked in the store and this guy was asking me for some deodorant. Oh, he was asking me to buy him detergent. I was like, listen, dude, I have no money. And he was like, he's eyeing me like, he got like the evil eye. And he's giving me like a stare down, and a couple of my friends walked by and like, hey man, just step back. And then he was like, what do you want? And then there's like, what, 15 of us? And he was like, oh, never mind. And he backed away. And then he walks back to the store. But that's not the funny part. The funny part is we were leaving Giant. We had all gotten our coffee or like water or whatever, and we were walking back to the Anthem, is the name of the show venue. And there were a group of guys throwing a football around. And what had happened was they threw the football at us, and this guy, being the guy he is, he was just like, hey, I'm just gonna throw it back at them. And not throw it back at them. This man beams it back at them. This man was aggressive when he threw that ball. And it's just like, hey, watch where you're throwing that. You do not want to do that in DC. Oh my God. The first thing that happened was they started running towards us. And we were freaking out. We're like, oh! And so I don't remember the details that well, but basically what happened was they started chasing us. He's like at a caboose basically because he threw the ball back at them. And he turns around and see that they're chasing us. And he was like, I'm going to go fight these people. And first things first, there was like, what, 7 of them or something like that? Mm-hmm. And so we were like, no. And he's like, no, I got this. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna kick the crap out of them. And it's just like, no, that's not gonna happen. One of our guys, bless his soul, was just like, yeah, you need to back off, dude. Shut up, stop talking, etc. And he gets up to us. Though they managed to catch up to him, and the first thing, I turned around and I just heard the smack. Down. He's gone. And keep in mind, this is like an hour before like we're supposed to go on stage to perform, or something like that, like an hour or two beforehand. So this man's out cold. He hits the floor, and they run. They're just gone. Now, we were like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" But inside, we're all. I'm pretty sure all of us, at least. I mean, I was. It's just like, why did you do that? It was just not the smartest thing to do. Especially in DC, was trying to look tougher than you actually are.
100%.
Especially because you can get hurt. So it's just, yeah. So we had to kind of basically replace that band member as fast as we could. Luckily, we had someone who could just kind of like stand there and act the part, but still, it was just like, man, that was like the craziest thing that ever happened. And it just goes to show that like a lot of times, like musicians will go to pretty scary places, and it's just like you need to be careful, especially when it's late.
Yeah. No, that story is crazy. That's like the funniest thing I've ever heard. Like when I first heard that story, I was in tears because that is the funniest thing that has like obviously that happened to him. Like I there's no one else it could have happened to, I don't think.
And no, there's like I don't think that's like a bad thing either though. It's just like
No.
Like I don't think any worse of this person. Like I never thought worse of them at like period, but it was just like man, this is not the place and time to do that.
Not at all.
Anyways. But cool concert. Yeah, the concert was great. If you want to look it up, it's called it's like Space Tiger something like Thailand Zoo or whatever. The name of the song makes no sense.
Oh.
But
yeah.
it's pretty cool. Anyways.
Yeah.
So, Jimmy, you want to talk about the next story?
Yeah. This kind of ties into my my anxiety kicking in. Let's see. I remember it as I think it was my first actual paid gig. And it was a brass quintet. John, you were a part of it.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Playing at not the NRO. Wait, no. It was the NRO, National Reconnaissance Organization. Because it was one of the guys' retirement ceremonies, and he specifically requested for a brass quintet. So I was like, I was kind of hyping myself up because I knew I would get nervous. But we start driving over there, and I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. You know, getting paid, doing stuff I love. It's gonna be great. We're gonna go in, we're gonna have a good time, and then we're gonna get back out and get paid. And that's it. And then I saw the security gate, and I was like, you know, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary going through security gates and getting checked out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're walking in the lobby, and I just start gagging.
I remember.
Like it was bad because it was like I had hyped myself up so much, but then there was a lot of things that I didn't consider. Like the security and metal detectors and stuff like that. And it just kind of threw my mojo off. And I was like, I can't handle this. So I went to the bathroom and just sat on the toilet. until I felt better.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the gig was fun though.
That's
Yeah.
good.
We played well.
No, I will say, in terms of just like gigs himself, that is probably like the strangest thing ever. Mainly because it's the National Reconnaissance Office. The place was wicked. It was kind of like it was kind of scary. Like it wasn't my first gig, but it was just like the first like like a high end scary gig that I've done, and oh my goodness, yeah, I don't know if it's not something that even like professional musicians go through a lot unless like you're in the military, but still it's just like oh my gosh, this is like the freakiest thing I've done ? I'm scared, and it's just like something like that is just wild to go through.
Right.
Yeah, it was insane. The dude was cool too.
Yeah, he was a really nice guy. And that's just like the tendency, especially because he was like an older dude. It's just like they knew, like a lot of them also knew, like, hey, this is a very special thing. Because not a lot of
Right.
people get to come to this place to do this stuff. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of DC, Nick, didn't you have a gig you did in DC too or something like that? It was like the one with like all the heads of like the colleges and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. That one was also in DC. That was also with Green Machine, and I mean there wasn't too much that was like insane about that gig. I'm gonna be honest. I think the best thing about
Oh yeah. I was there,
yeah,
right?
yeah, you were there. The best thing about it was the catering. I'm gonna be real.
Oh my gosh, dude.
No, okay, and I don't mean that as in like the event sucked or anything, but the catering, that was wild. Okay, so like the lay of the land, so to speak. You get there and there's no food yet, and we're like, obviously, there's no food. It hasn't come yet. I forget. I think it was Papa John's.
It was definitely Papa John's.
Yeah, it was Papa John's, and this was during the whole like the day of reckoning will come. Just stay tuned, kind of thing. Um, that was when like Papa John was really like having a tough time PR wise. But anyway, that doesn't really matter to the story. Um, the catering was just insane. They brought like their menu twice, I would say. Like, everything that was on their
so
menu,
much.
there was so much food, and we were like, surely this isn't correct. Surely we only got a little bit of this. Like we can't have all of this. This is like okay, yeah, one trip, and nobody was going up and getting the food, and so we were like, can we get food? And they're like, yeah, it's there for a reason, right? And we're like, and so just so much fucking food in front of all these all of us are dressed in our like jerseys, sitting next to like heads of colleges or heads of programs at colleges, all of them pertaining to music or something or engineering or what have you. And yeah, overall it was like I would say that was a pretty like chill experience. It was just the catering that was insane.
It was so much. I was so full.
I think I called you guys during that.
You definitely did.
Probably, yeah.
So, I think I had classes, which is why I didn't go.
Yeah, you had like Wind Symphony or something.
Yeah.
You had Wind Symphony when like I don't think it was like well spread that you guys had that class that day. A lot of people were under the impression that you guys didn't have that class.
Yeah. But oh my God, Jimmy, didn't you get in trouble? Or
No, actually, I didn't.
What the heck? I just know that you were not supposed to be at that gig.
I definitely was not supposed to be there, but I mean,
but I went to class.
whatever.
I went to class. Jimmy went to the gig. It's cool. I called them because I was kind of like, yeah, Jimmy, where were you? And he was like, I'm at the gig. Why? And it's like, Jimmy, you missed class.
Yeah, I remember like as we were leaving, you were like, "Wait, I feel like I'm forgetting something." or that conversation had to have come up. And then I think John calls you, you're like, yo, where were you? And you were like, what? We had weed company today?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude.
Dude,
That was a funny memory.
that's really funny. But I think we shouldn't just tell all the stories that we have today.
Yeah.
I think we've talked for quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's been like a solid hour or something.
Sure.
We've talked for quite a bit. I'm getting tired.
I'm
Mhm.
also getting
And
tired.
I'm gonna throw up.
No, you're not. Anyways. Well,
Oh no.
I mean, thanks for watching, I guess. Or I guess you'll be
Yeah.
watching from my perspective, but thanks for watching.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so I think how we're gonna do it is we're just gonna put these up every Sunday and it'll be good.
Yeah.
And if this doesn't come out on a Sunday, whoops.
It'll probably be my
that's-
fault.
It'll be okay as long as it goes up. But the plan is every Sunday that we have time, in which we have quite a lot of right now.
But
We
yeah.
should be able to have one of these podcasts ready, and we'll be bringing in people with other points of view,
Mhm.
just to bring in a couple more experiences that will make this a lot more interesting.
Okay. Well,
But yeah,
but before we're finished, I mean, is there anything you guys want to say to everyone before?
Yeah, I just wanted to shout out my Patreons.
all three of them.
Shout out to John Choi, Nick Graziano, myself, Shaq.
Yeah.
I think that's all of them.
Our sponsor,
Oh.
Raycon earbuds. We're not
Yeah.
actually sponsored,
I
but
bought a pair,
yeah.
bro. I might as well be.
So
Follow me on Twitch. Twitch.tv.
Oh yeah.
Nicholas Graz.
it'll be in the
Nicholas
description
spelled
below.
with a K. Yeah,
It'll be in the description below. But anyways, yeah. Thanks for having us. Or if you, thanks for listening.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having
thanks
us.
for having us Switch.
Subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, subscribe to our channel. You know, throw a like. I really we'd appreciate it.
We'll probably put hopefully try to put this on like SoundCloud or something if we can, if we figure out how to do that.
Oh yeah, we can. And I mean, I guess for those listening, good luck with this pandemic going around.
We'll yeah,
And
that's pretty
we'll
good.
talk to you later, I guess.
Bye.
Bye bye.